Hey, well, good afternoon. Today is August 1st, 2022, Rowan County Board of Commissioners meeting. We appreciate you being here with us today, if you're here in person or if you're joining us online. It's been the tradition of this board. We do a couple of things. We'll always have the Pledge of Allegiance. We also have what's called a solemnizing prayer. Our chaplain will come forward. The definition of this as a solemnizing prayer is not for you, it's for the commissioners. Each week we have things that we need to decide, and we honestly want to do it with as much wisdom as possible. So our chaplain will come forward and pray for that wisdom. And commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll get started.
Lord, thank you for the privilege to be here today to pray for our county commissioners. Lord, we thank for them and the work they do. And you, Lord, and thank for all the preparation they put in, many hours that's gone unseen by the public, dear Lord. But we thank for them. We pray you'll give them the wisdom they need, Lord, continue to make right decisions. Pray you guide and lead this meeting today.
And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor, Senior. All right, let's see. We've got one addition to the agenda you've been provided with. It's from Anna Bumgardner, our Finance Director, regarding the Carolina SiteWorks edition. We'll add that as item AB. And then on the regular agenda, we're going to pull item 6. And commissioners, are there any other changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? All right, if not, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, then do we have, let's see, we have the minutes from the July 18th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of July 18th? Have a motion, do we have a second? Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then we have an amended consent agenda, motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
And all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, we'll move on then to public comment. Is there any public comment? None noted. All right. All right, then we'll move on. EDC presentation of project finishing. Scott, welcome.
Chairman, and thank you, board members, for hearing this request today for from project finishing. So the company behind Project Finishing is an existing manufacturer. They're based in the Northeast and been around for many, many years, several decades, in fact. But they are looking to relocate the business to the southeastern U.S. And right now they're looking at a vacant building in Salisbury in Rowan County for this relocation. So if they were to relocate down here, they would create 29 new jobs over the next 3 years. They'd also invest about $7 million in building rehab and installation of new equipment. This will be kind of an ongoing process, but they anticipate the majority of it being done by the end of 2023. So they are requesting a level 1 incentive. As commissioners are aware, this is equal to 75% of the new taxes paid over 5 years. Normal threshold for this is $5 million. Of course, their investment is just under $7 million. And I did provide some numbers for you in your packets, and those numbers were based on certain assumptions, such as the tax rate staying the same, project being done totally by 2026. And also we tried to factor in depreciation best we can using the 2022 depreciation schedule A, and we assumed 10-year lifespans for the equipment depreciation. But with all that entered into this model, we anticipate the following, and that is a total incentive grant valued at $125,000, again, paid out over 5 years. And during those 5 incentivized years, the county would net about $41,600 in revenue. over 10 years. Again, $125,000 grant. Total net revenue to the county would be about $203,000. And there is other assistance being worked on for this project. We are working with the state to pursue a building reuse grant for the project to help with roof improvements, HVAC, electrical work. But the Salisbury City Council is going to be meeting on the 16th. They're going to hold their own public hearing to consider requesting this grant on the for the company. It wouldn't be the Rowan County administration and commissioners submitting this application. Again, that's going to be on the 16th. And the City Council is also going to consider its own level 1 grant for the project. So today, what we're asking the board to consider is, again, approval of a level 1 grant for project finishing, consistent with the terms stated in the adopted county incentive policy. Summarize again, it's about $7 million in new investment in Rowan County, and also the opportunity to create about 29 new well-paying jobs over the next 3 years, and also expand the county's manufacturing base. And again, we would see, we anticipate a net revenue of about $203,000 in taxes to the county. And we thank you for considering this request today, and glad to answer any questions we can.
Scott, do you have an estimate about the jobs that are being created in those and how much that annual salary might be?
Well, it's our understanding the salary would be in excess of $70,000. That's an average for all positions. We don't have a breakdown of the jobs themselves, but it's our understanding most of them would be manufacturing type positions. This is a machinery manufacturer, so high skill level and we think high pay along with that.
Anything else for Scott?
Scott, is this a business that has the opportunity to grow once they get here?
Well, we think so. I mean, they haven't stated any long-term plans. It's really all about just trying to get down here right now. But a lot of their clients are overseas, and they are seeing quite a bit of growth over there. It's just due to the nature of their business. So I do think there's an opportunity there for that, but that has not been spelled out at this point.
All right, if no other questions for Scott, then we'll now open the floor. We're going to have a public hearing. So if anyone has anything they would like to share or speak on regarding this incentive, then seeing or hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the incentives for the project finishing project brought before us by EDC?
So moved.
All right, Craig motion, Judy second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Scott. All right, Aaron, SNIA request 04-22 for Finney Builders. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, we have a request SNIA 04-22 from Finney Builders to do a 2,500 square foot addition to an existing race shop at 9275 West NC 152 Highway. The current building was built in 2001 as a home occupation. Back in 2018, we had a rezoning for this property. They had rezoned it from RA to CBI as the owner at the time was looking to sell it, and that would allow it to be a conforming use for a new owner. And during that process, it was brought up that any expansion of the use would require the SNIA permit, because out there it's in the Cottle Creek Watershed 2, which only has a 12% built upon area allotment. And the current built upon area is about 36%. And they're looking with this addition to go up to about 44%. So with this addition, this is in the Cottle Creek Watershed area, and this is a 1.96 acre property. So the watershed, the Cottle Creek Watershed has 1,194.7 acres that we can use through the SNIA permit process to allow for the increase in project density. And so far, we've used 160.67 acres of it. So that's about 13.5% of our allotment we've used so far. And if approved, this would bring us up to 13.6%. So just a couple of things to keep in mind is that this property is on the section of 152, pretty close to Wilkinson Road and Shin Farm Road. And both of those roads have a lot of industrial parks off of them that have all gone through this same process for pretty similar uses. And then with any SNI application, the board can add mutually agreed upon conditions as approval of their request. And if you have any questions, both me and the applicant are here.
Aaron, could you enlarge this? I can't read the print on the side there. Eyes. Okay. So one more thing then about,
Mhm.
it's kind of confusing.
All right.
How
Let's see.
much SNI is left build on here?
Mhm. So are you asking what's being added to the building or what's on the left-hand side here?
Okay, so the original building is,
Is this right here? I'm not sure if you can. Yeah, the existing building is 5,000 square feet. So this addition would double the size of the building or increase it by 50% to 7,500.
those are other buildings then on the site?
This is an existing house and then a storage building for that house that have been there since before they built the workshop out here.
So the original building's been there for a while.
Yeah, they're seeking to enlarge the business building by 2,500 square feet.
And this would bring our SNIA up to what?
So we would go from 13.5% use in Cottle Creek to 13.6.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions for Aaron? All right, and we're not doing a public hearing on this, right? All right, do we have a motion to approve SNIA 04-22?
So moved.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Good luck to you, yeah. Randy, welcome.
Afternoon, Commissioners. Want to give you a verbal update, no PowerPoints. And it can be a discussion as well on the development process, where we're at. And I'll go over the technology side of it, some fiscal year impacts since we're now into fiscal year 23, and then also some staffing notes and talking with the different department directors. So from a technology standpoint, we've expanded out. We're taking the online credit cards for building inspections, and that has now been expanded out for those that are wishing to do it in planning and development as well. That's a recent change there. We're using an interim process at the moment. There's a contract in with one of our payment processors, worked with Anna on that. And so we have that contract. We'll be looking at starting that. That way people can complete their full process online. Don't have an exact date on that, and I'll get to that in a second with our company that we're using, that we're negotiating with on all of this. So that's our online payments. We've continued to add permits and plans for these departments. The review and electronic plans process, we actually had executed contracts back in March of this year. Those are still on hold with the vendor. Actually, I invited them here today. No implementation manager or project manager as of yet. So this seems to be a recurring theme for this particular vendor. Just as a note, I checked in, City of Salisbury is also implementing the Intergo solution that we are as well. And they're just looking to get their process implemented by July of next year. So what we did do with that is let them know that as opposed to looking at a schedule, first available slot, we want it. Somebody cancels it, We're already working in a test environment, so staff have already gone through what they need to do to understand the new software, and they're ready for it. We just have to have implementation. So we got hardware. We're just waiting on a software vendor at this point. Like I said, City of Salisbury, a good thing there, just finding out about their implementation of InterGov. A lot of this work that you can do when a contractor or citizen goes online to do either planning or zoning, they're going to be selecting where their address is. So through this process, we'll work with City of Salisbury. If they're selecting a property inside of the city limits within their jurisdiction for permitting, we want to kick back over to them, vice versa. So starting to have those discussions with their IT director, and we'll work with them as they go through the process. One item that we'll be doing as far as in April started this process for website redesign. And so we're going to tie in the development process. This will be the first time we've gone through a full website redesign. So that's going to be kicked off this year, and she'll be working with all the departments there. So we'll tie in, we'll still have the individual departments that are related to the process, but we'll be bringing in just the commonly asked questions. So that if you're coming in for doing any type of development, you don't necessarily have to know which department to go to. Your ultimate.
Stop. I have my hearing aids in, but I'm still having trouble hearing. When you said that, what was it, a redo?
The website redesign, yes.
Okay, so are we still with the same vendor?
We are, for our official county website, yes, we are with the same vendor, and that's actually part of our contract is to have that website redesign. You can have that, I think you can have it every 5 years, because if you pay 5 years of maintenance, they're providing that, so.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, so what's out there is, I am very disappointed in our website. I find it to be very clunky and not able to find things all the time. And the public has told me this too. So,
Address those, this is what I'm hearing.
well, yeah. I mean, I would really like you to look at a different vendor.
I will say, when using the same one, a lot of the redesign has gotten much more straightforward, where you would typically have this, basically the site that we have is, they're almost cookie cutter. I mean, you look at about every county, they're all saying the same thing. How do I, what do I, government, business. The new designs are much more simplistic. You're going there, you're directly hitting certain areas. They're made for, while we have a mobile friendly site, they've definitely changed a lot. So we'll be able to see what we have in that development. It doesn't mean we have to go with it. So if it's still not meeting a need, and what we did with the first one is work with April, and she would have set up groups to make sure we're meeting those goals. So
yeah. One of the other things that has really struck a number of people is it's a really boring site. And I know that April has a lot of creativity, and I don't know if she's able to have the time to do that or under the contract, but yeah. Thank you.
thank you. We'll make sure as we're going through on the new design that we take those into consideration, and also have groups that can provide that feedback. So
I
thank you.
think, Randy, as I understood it, it was all computer people that made the decisions of first where it went out.
We actually had a lot, the original going back, we had a focus group of pretty much all the different internal departments. Now, I think what could be expanded on is taking that more to those in the community, the ones that are using it, as opposed to the ones that are administering and putting things on the site.
Well, I would hope that perhaps I would suggest that you get a focus together of people outside and have them.
Definitely do that. And one nice thing about that is there are lots of other counties all across the country, so we can find other sites that are appealing as well and see what they're doing.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. So I'll move on to environmental health with theirs, because we have building inspections, planning and development, moving on to environmental health. They've been working with Adrian and his group on developing some of the permitting there, and they've got that in test. So they're working through that process. Just to give you some dates on this, what I'm looking for are the next 90 to 120 days on that, because we do have allocation of that staff time to work with environmental health on their focus. We also have funding that's coming through the health department in this case to do scanning. If you've ever been down there, they have rows of filing cabinets, and one of the items is to get rid of some of that. In fact, all of it is everything that they can. So we're working with Alyssa and her group on that to be able to scan that in and make that available as part of the new system. So if you're looking up a particular parcel ID or permit, you can pull that records that would normally have only been accessible in a filing cabinet.
So clarify that, because I can see this in the front page of the paper. We're not putting health department documents.
Right, this is environmental health.
Environmental
Yep.
health, construction documents.
This is construction. It's well and septic.
Not someone's health records.
Correct. Environmental health, only related to the construction, site construction.
Reading the headline in our mind
Yeah,
on that. So
good.
Thank
point.
you. With that, we've still prioritized fire inspections to come after environmental health because of the workload there. Now, I will say we've got, and I'll get into this, the fiscal year impacts with fire inspections, but we'll look at starting that after environmental health is completed, aside from the one item, which is going to be collecting fees for permits. So as we had the budget prepared and looked at the different costs, I based this off of starting in January to start collecting fees. Deborah Allen and myself had worked through their fees. They didn't have any in the past. So looking at surrounding counties and getting a fee schedule. It's not an exhaustive list. There's some that are very exhaustive. This is just our most common to get them into the system with the fee collection. So from a fiscal year impact, the board had approved for July 1, the change in the fee schedules. This was an update across the board. This was building inspections and planning and development. I can tell you, I looked at the data and confirmed with Thomas O'Kelly, aside from an outlier with the large Macy's distribution, we're on track, in fact, better on the recommended or the projected revenues collected for that. So, and this is with the increase. That also ties into an item that was passed in the session law that I guess I'll have to work with Anna on, is related to the annual financial report on how the fees are used for the administration. So a couple of the items there, and worked with Aaron on this, is that covers if we have more inspections going on, it can cover building inspectors. In our case, we have minimum housing compliance that we have to address. There's only so much staff. So money has been put into this year's budget for legal fees for that. That way staff can turn it over to outside legal to be able to process all that. And that was a determination after working with Jay and staff to figure out how can we handle this? What's the best use of this permit revenue to administer the not so good side of inspections and compliance. So we have that taken care of. So looking at that soft rollout for environmental health in that November, December timeframe, then switching over. Can't tell you a thing on e-plans and e-reviews. Again, we're stuck by the vendor on that one, other than I invited him to this meeting today and he put it tentative and then declined on me at 2 o'clock. So we're still working on them. If there's any payments we can hold back, we'll definitely do that to work with. Couple of items of note from talking with staff is that there's been an increase in personal applications for both the zoning side and the permitting side. And so normally you'd have contractors that understand the process. They're working with individuals that are coming in. So just as a pass along for general public is work with those folks. They know those regulations and rules. They may sound odd or something different because they haven't gone through the process before, but to definitely work with those staff on those processes because that's something new from them dealing with it. And now that we've expanded the number of channels that we have to be able to do online with the contractors call, I'm speaking with staff on this, and they said there's a good and bad to that. The bad is contractors may feel that submitting through all three methods is the best thing to do. In fact, that actually just causes more of a delay because now you're weeding out the differences between it. So don't have a good solution other than public awareness that If it comes in and it's not being processed, I'll get involved. If Thomas and Ed say they're not getting something, we've gone through that process on a couple things, but just let them know that they can submit the wants. The online's fine. And staff will get back with them on scheduling. So I think that about covers everything I have. We're making progress.
Thank you for all you've done. This is a huge, huge, huge thing.
I wish we were further along.
Yeah. And just reminding to the other commissioners that the individuals that are coming in that don't know the rules and everything, they slow things down a lot. So please be patient.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. All right, budget amendments have been provided for us. I had a chance to look at those.
Move approval.
All right, thanks. We have a
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
All right, we have some board appointments, just one. It is Airport Advisory Board. We have one opening. I'd like to make a motion. We appoint Stephen Graham Johnson to the board. We have a second.
Second.
Others? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Huh. Done. There is, isn't there? So Kirk Beatty had submitted, it's Don Kirk Beatty had submitted a resignation to the airport board. Do we have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
In a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then Locke Volunteer Fire Department Fire Commissioners, Lynn Aldridge applied to fill a vacant seat that will expire July 31st, 2024. Motion and a second to approve. Lynn. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Okay. We're going to move into closed session. So North Carolina General Statute 143-318A1 to consider approval of the minutes of the closed sessions held on June 6th, June 20th, July 18th, 2022. And based on North Carolina Statute 143-318-11A5 to consider real estate negotiations. So we'll get started as soon as we empty the room. Items. So do we have a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.